I'm not married to all it is. My kid's 4. Eventually I'll be married to someone. Thank you very much. On their elbow. Make sure it's not here, like what you're saying. Here, keep the stick leg away. If it's then it's not hurt.
We could probably get started. I don't know if others are coming in. How's the day been so far? Good? How many sessions have you guys been through already? Just one? Okay. We'll get started here. I want to definitely keep this session light. It's an opportunity for you gentlemen to get a lot of questions answered, maybe that you have about the goalie position with your teams. My name's Sean Quirk. I know there's some familiar faces in here. I coached college lacrosse for 20 years, and then I coached professionally in the PLL, the MYL for 7 years, and run peak goalie as well. Today, I'm going to go over really selecting goalies to help you gentlemen maybe understand how to get some goalies to play, or players on your team to play goalie, a proper warm-up, and ready position. Really the basics. I think you all have the greatest challenge in coaching youth lacrosse, right? Everyone says, grow the game, grow the game, grow the game. You coaches are at the forefront of doing that. And allowing these young people, that a lot of them are just starting to play lacrosse, to have a freaking great experience doing it. So they want to come back. And there's no greater position than the goalie position with that. Both of my kids were in Mass Youth Lacrosse. My son's a sophomore playing Division I now. My daughter's going on to play Division III next year. They're both goalies. So I sat where you're sitting as well as a parent and as a coach at that level. And I truly, truly have so much appreciation for every person, coach in this room, because I know it is challenging. Lacrosse is my passion, like it is for you guys. I'm very blessed that I made a career out of it. I believe that there is no freaking greater position in any sport than the goalie position. I'm biased, right? I've been a goalie my whole life, sort of. I started playing midfield in the 1st grade. I didn't pick up one of these until the 7th grade. And the reason I picked this stick up rather than a short stick, 2 reasons. I thought it was cool looking. I knew that I could play probably the whole game in 7th grade compared to only playing a little bit as a midfielder or an attackman. And the big reason is I had open heart surgery, so I really couldn't run a whole lot after that. So I chose to stick my butt in the goal and have my older brother shoot on me. And who knew that I'd be doing this as a career. When you're selecting a goalie, right, some kids, they're just not going to want to do it, right? But I think some of those enticing ways to get them to play is, yeah, it's a cool stick, right? It's bigger. You're going to play probably at least 50% of the game, maybe the whole game, if you don't have another goalie on your team. So kind of selling it that way. The other thing is rotating every kid through and just having them try it, right? And you may find out that you have the next Division I All-America on your team that loves this position, is really athletic, just wants to be in there, and is a great goalie. You may have somebody else that was a midfielder, try it out, gets in there, and they just don't want that fear of failure of letting balls in the goal, and they don't want that pressure on them. Get that kid out of the goal. So rotating kids through, I think, is a really good thing. The warm-up, and I'm going to go through kind of ready position, what goalies look like in there, and I'm going to keep it super basic for you. I would tell the same thing to Kyler Bernlohr, one of the best goalies in the world who plays in the PLL right now. We'll teach it that way, and it's the same thing as a youth coach and youth goalie. The warm-up is about them, and it's really important, right? We talk about kids loving the game, wanting to get back in there. You must get them a good warm-up from a coach, right? If you have another youth player warming them up, it's going to be about the youth player scoring goals on the goalie. And it can be a quick warm-up. You may have trying to herd 25, 30, 40 other kids at your practice. It can be 5 shots stick side high, 5 shots off stick side, 5 shots hip side where your stick is, 5 off hip, 5 low, and then 5 bounce shots. That'll take you 3 to 5 minutes tops. And that young man will feel really good about where they are, and they'll be in that zone to play. Going to cover the ready position and then really want to open it up for questions that you all have, okay? I could stand up here for days and teach arc and angle, ball behind, shading, baiting, screens, the whole 9 yards. Want to give you the tools to put in your toolbox to make you successful as a coach and to make your goalies successful this season. How many goalies or former goalies are in the room? All right, so we're talking a little bit of the same language here, all right? Defensive players, former D-pulls, offensive guys, losers. Just the guys that want all the freaking glory. Everything starts in being an athlete, right? Putting the heavy kid that's unathletic, those days are gone, right? Like, you need an athlete in there. And again, I'm not saying this because I am a goalie. I wasn't the best athlete growing up, right? But you want somebody that's athletic in there, is confident in themselves, obviously, and that's hard to detect it at a young age. But everything starts with the ready position, and if you're in the right spots in the cage, a lot of times you're just going to get hit with the ball at any level. It's these goalies, even that are playing college, that aren't in the right positions, and they're making it more challenging for themselves to make saves, right? So everything starts with the feet, okay? Typically shoulder width apart. If we're a little bit outside the shoulders, great. Like a linebacker in football, like a wrestler, right on the balls of my feet. So I'm not on my tippy toes, I'm not on my heels, but I'm in a good, comfortable, athletic position, right on the balls of my feet, right where the laces are. My feet are slightly duck foot, okay? So I'm not just right up the field, they're slightly duck foot. So now when I'm attacking, and everything I do is attack, I'm stepping out on a 45-degree angle, okay, rather than stepping laterally and allowing the ball to play me. Slightly duck foot on the balls of my feet, knees slightly bent. You see some of these goalies in here where they're in such a crouch, right? And especially at a younger age, you just want to teach them to be a linebacker in there. Good, comfortable, athletic position, knees slightly bent, hips straight up, so I'm not leaning forward, okay? And again, you'll see some college goalies doing this. You throw a hitch or a fake, you can get them to bait, or to bite rather, and catch them off balance and then shoot. I know guys at the youth level aren't doing that, but you want to teach them good habits, okay? Hips straight up, shoulders out, chest out in front, okay? So I'm in a good, comfortable, athletic position here. tell our young goalies at goalie camp all the time, go home, stand in the mirror, see what you look like. Do you feel comfortable holding this position for 5 minutes, right? If your thighs are starting to burn, your quads, right, you might need to adjust a little bit. So feel comfortable. Once we get the stick in our hand, totally legal at all levels, I'm going to hold the plastic, okay? So I'm holding the stick all the way at the top. A lot of young goalies are going to hold it down here, okay? They'll hold it right here. They may even hold it literally like this, right? You're shaking your head like this, okay? When we're holding it like this is a fly swatter, okay? We're in the cage, I'm in my athletic position, I'm swatting at the ball, batting it down. This top hand on the plastic is the driver, right? It's like when we're taught to drive 10 and 2. We're driving the car. This thing right here is driving every save I make. I hold the plastic, so now as your goalies get a little bit older, and there's college goalies that hold it here, and when the ball is going 90 miles per hour, I'm holding my stick really tight, it turns, and you see those balls trickle in, okay? I'm holding the plastic now with 2 fingers, and I'm not gripping it that hard. You're never going to get that ball to go in off a rebound typically. This top hand, again, it's the driver. Okay, I'm like a windshield wiper here. I'm here. It's doing all the work for me. When I'm here, it's flimsy, right? Bottom hand. Your guys are a little bit smaller. Typically, you bring that elbow down. Right there is like 6, 7, 8, 9 inches. Put a little piece of tape on their stick. Top pointer finger thumb right on the top of the tape. Now I have full control over the stick. Okay, I'm not here, I'm not here, I'm not here. I have really good control over my stick right here. Okay? Any questions about that? A little bit more technical. Now I'm in my ready position. Duck foot on the balls of my feet, knees slightly bent, hips straight up, chest out, top hand up. Chicken arms. We're going to get a lot of goalies at your level looking like this. Okay? Really tough to make saves there. They're scared as hell of the ball. So what they're going to do is they're going to react and they're going to be like this in the goal. This is going to be their ready position right here. And they're going to try to make saves, and they're going to bat at it. Cushion between the planes. You got a plane of glass right here. We don't want to break the glass. So we're right on it. If I come in, I'm breaking the glass. If I'm here, I'm breaking the glass. I want to stay as much on the glass as possible. So now when I'm making saves, again, arms out. Notice my elbows, not here, not all the way out locked. But a good comfortable bend, I'm like a windshield wiper in there. Able to make plays on those balls. When I hold the stick like this, you'll see it's up right around my head, right? We don't want to drop our hands. A lot of young goalies are going to drop their hands. Again, look at my elbows. Elbows out right here on the plane of glass. So I can save high shots, I can get down low, stick side, making easy saves. Tie it all together. Again, feet shoulder width apart, a little bit outside, balls of our feet, duck foot, knees slightly bent, hips straight up, chest out, top hand on the plastic, bottom hand about 6, 8, 7 inches down, away from my body. Here I am. Okay, if this was, we use this little thing here.
You teach eye, thumb, ball.
Eye, thumb, ball.
And your eye, your thumb, ball.
Sure, absolutely. I don't put it in those terms, but it's a great way to put it. Absolutely. So what coach means is, say it again.
Eye, thumb, ball.
Eyes on the thumb, on the ball, right there, right? So it's a good tool to use it as. Absolutely. Great coaching tool for young goalies. Other questions about ready position? Anything? Yes, sir.
Are they set up on the goal line? Are they coming out and cutting off an angle, getting more depth?
Yep. So kind of that arc, right? That's the next step.
Okay.
Great question. And think of all your questions, guys. We'll get through them. So if this is the goal, right? This is a 6x6. This is the goal line right here. Some other guys in here. Sal Licasio, right? Great UMass goalie, played a flat line, really quick hands. Rationale was to see the ball longer, okay? You're giving up more of the cage. Other guys, Dylan Ward, who plays on the Water Dogs, plays indoor. He literally plays at the top of the crease. Ridiculous, but he's one of the best goalies in the world, right? So where is that comfort level? What's gonna work for your goalies? Again, youth guys, take one step out, right? Let's figure out where their strengths are. And they're gonna come in and they're gonna say, I watched ESPN yesterday, I wanna play like Dylan Ward. Well, Dylan Ward is out here, and when an attackman or a midi is there and feeds to another guy here, now I gotta recover and get back in the goal. At that point, I'm raking the ball out of the net, right? So again, 8 out of 10 goalies are gonna take one step out on that arc. We'll start on my pipe here, and we'll go to the other pipe. It's 5 steps, right? So you're on the pipe here, ready position. I'm holding that pipe. 1, right? Now what do you got to shoot at? A little bit weak side, a lot more on my strong side. I'm making the shooter shoot. I just asked you guys, who are goalies in here? Who are the defensemen? And who are the prima donna offensive guys? I am being smarter than an offensive player. I'm making you, go ahead, shoot to my weak side. I'm just giving you a little. I'll save that all day. I'm baiting you to shoot to my strong side. You're seeing all that net. You're frothing at the mouth. Bigger step, but I'm going to make that save. So that's my first step. My second step is here. A little bit more on my weak side, less on my weak side, more on my strong side. Third step is right to the center. Okay, ball's up top with coach in the red jacket. And again, we're not in a goal, but I'm giving up a little bit on my weak side, more on my strong side. Making the shooter shoot mentally where he doesn't want to my stick. Ball goes one more. My fourth step right here, I'm taking away completely the weak side. As you're coming down the alley, all I'm giving you is strong side. And then my fifth step is I'm on the pipe. And I'm giving very little on my weak side and nothing on my strong side. Okay, so to your question again, 1 step out on the pipe and then 5 steps around. You guys can tie a string to the two pipes and walk around with that string. And when you're at the top of the string, your goalie will see those angles of what I just talked about. It's a great tool to use.
So I learned as soon as they get past your right foot, so if you're on the left pipe, as soon as they get past your right foot, that's when you step. Is that correct?
Sure. Dude, I went to Springfield College, right? Cut the cameras. I'm not that freaking smart.
Yeah, I was
Right?
talking 3 steps, so.
Sure, 3 steps, okay? I'm here, I see the shooter, holy shit, the guy's gonna shoot the ball, sorry Lars. Like, I gotta step, right?
Yeah.
3 steps you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so you're here, right? Here, and then on the other
Especially at
pipe.
a younger level, they can't do 5-step without being out of play.
Totally. If you do 3, again, more than one way to skin a cat, right? I'm talking youth level, middle school, high school, college, professional goalies. This is how I would teach it consistently. We all speak different languages. If we're doing 3 steps, I love it, right? It's how my son plays. He does 3. And he adjusted. So he's here, you're here now, and then you're pretty much on the other pipe.
Right. That's how.
Either way is great, honestly, that you want to coach it.
Get that string drill again, or that string thing, I didn't quite catch that.
Yep, so again, this is our goal, okay? Tie one end there, one end there, so it's gonna come to a point. Right here.
Yep.
And you can just walk with that string now, so now I'm over here, and I'm angled up, and they can see I'm always in the middle of the string, and the point is there.
Perfect.
If you have two people, ideally, have another goalie. He can walk with the string while you're just shooting on the goalie, and you can say, Billy, you want to shade a little bit more to that weak side, okay, and that sort of thing.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great questions. Yes.
Sean, one thing I teach the form and everything else. One thing I just wonder is I tell the kids to take a deep breath and be relaxed. That's like a huge piece of this. It's their head. When they're relaxed. A lot of kids who we're teaching are really tense and they're afraid of the ball for all different purposes, like anybody who's teaching a teacher. But I'm just saying, after you're done teaching the form and kind of go over all that, I always tell them I'm working on breathing. Taking a deep breath and letting their body physically just relax. And that's going to be a little more flexible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it, right? There's so much in sport now, and I don't know how many of you do this stuff full time or look at other sports, but mental health, anxiety, awareness, breathing techniques, yoga, right? It's stuff that we all talk about in sports and really important. The thing I say at every goalie clinic, because these kids come in, they think everyone's watching them, right? Like your players do at practice. At practice, there's no scoreboard, right? Like, don't be afraid, and it's hard to say to a young child, don't be afraid to get scored on, right? It's gonna happen. This is the time we're here together to get better, and that sort of thing. But taking that pressure with breathing, the way you communicate with your goalies, really super important.
Well, my point was I teach it when I teach the form. So that they're linking it to the form and they're not linking
Gotcha.
it to the rest, all the anxiety and everything else.
Yep.
They're thinking it's part of my form. And when they do that, that's the physical piece, and then they're automatically relaxed.
Love
so I'm just saying it's something I can learn. Especially if I'm working with a lot of us, if I work with 7 8 years now. So
Yeah.
now you're really into the maturity and all that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Coach, do you coach your young goalies to always keep the stick in their strong hand, or are they ever switching it over to the weak hand?
In the cage, always play with your strong hand. So, it's a great question. Some will say, when I'm on the pipe, particularly this pipe, and I'm a right-handed goalie, do I put it in my left hand? I mean, if you're totally ambidextrous, go ahead. But in 30 years of doing this, maybe I've seen one goalie do that. Like, realistically, I'd say keep it in your strong hand when you're in the goal. Playing out of the cage, clearing in that. Lars will tell you, wall ball. Like, goalies have to have great stick skills.
What's the worst compliment a goalie can get?
The worst compliment a goalie can get is that you're a great stopper, right? I can stop the heck out of the ball, but once I stop it, I can't clear it and get the offense going. What separates it, and again, you're so instrumental in these goalies, all players, loving the sport, loving the position. Once they get to high school, college, right, you're gonna have those guys, if you don't already, that you see if you've been coaching a while, that will separate a goalie in high school and college. If they can clear the ball, start the offense, maybe sometimes even if they're not as great of a stopper, but analytically shows that they can get the offense going, it's huge. So playing wall ball, having two hands out of the cage.
I gotta defend my offensive brothers here.
Sure, I respect
I know
you.
you think we're losers, but what about goalies that are wannabe middies? Right? They make a great stop and then they take off.
Yeah.
You tell them stay home. Like, when is the right time to leave the cage, leave the crease? I never found that there is a good time, but I'd love to know your opinion.
Yeah.
My son was like that.
Your son? Honestly, I was like that in middle school because I was a middie, right? And then even in high school, I'm like, I can be the guy that runs upfield. And finally, my coach was like, Sean, you're athletic, you're pretty fast, you can run up the field with the ball, but the ball is gonna move a lot faster than your legs are gonna move, right? And it comes back to that clearing. I make that save. All right, I made the save. You took the shot, you're playing defense, you're schlep rocking, right? Because you're bummed that I made the save. I'm looking directly to you rather than making that save and just running out. Now, I will say this. I make the save, everyone's covered. I have no options. I step outside my crease, right? We have an extra player, me being the goalie. I run it up a little bit. I draw that 2-on-1. I dump it off, and now we go. Maybe he gets it back to me. I'm out at the top of the box, and we're moving the ball. I'm not a huge fan of goalies running it up the field. The ball moves faster than them. Let them do the work, and that sort of thing.
Do you teach throwing it to your middies first, or do you, because at this level, a lot of the defenders are not that good at catching, not that good at picking up a ground ball with a 6-foot stick, especially 5 to 6. Do you teach throwing it to the guys that are coming on switches, or from goal? How do you teach?
At the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, all the way up, look to where that shot come from again. You shot it. He's playing defense on you. Boom, I'm looking there first, and then I'm surveying the field like a quarterback in football. I'm looking to the weak side, I'm looking to the box side, and then I'm just getting it up the field. Sometimes, like you're saying, those defensemen, right? If we want to use them because they're wide open down here, and one's got better stick skills than the other, let's use those guys. But typically, the middies is where I'm looking first.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Here's my biggest challenge with goalies. I can find them, I can identify them. What tips do you have when talking to a parent, trying to explain that your son should be a goalie, and the parent's just like, oh, he's not going in there.
Yeah.
That's my biggest challenge that I have, because I'm a 5th and 6th, so that's usually when we identify a lot of our goalies.
Yeah. And I'll answer your question with a question, and then we'll get to the question, right? Is it because the parents are afraid he or she is going to get hurt because the ball is going at him, right?
I'd say like 90% of that.
Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. Let's try it. Let's get your son in there and let's try it. Let's start with tennis balls. Tennis balls are unbelievable, right? Because these kids are afraid of the ball. It hurts, right? Let's start with tennis balls, getting them warmed up. Even just taking the stick out of their hands, getting in the ready position, tossing balls at them. Right here, catching it, getting that step down, throwing it at their chest with their chest guard on, getting them comfortable, hitting them in the legs, getting them comfortable. And then let's get the lacrosse balls going. With the parents, it's as simple as that, honest to God. Like, let's try it, let's see if he enjoys it. We think he can be really good at it. There is no more risk than a goalie getting hurt than a field player with a shot, right? And I don't want to go into a whole diatribe of, when a ball hits the heart and the heart stops. It can happen to a defenseman, it can happen to a midi, it can happen to an attackman. There's no research that shows there are more injuries on a goalie with getting hit with the ball than any other player in the field.
Just talk to them about padding. Talk to them about like goalie shorts.
Goalie shorts, shin guards if they feel comfortable.
Things that go on
at that
their
level.
shoulders.
Realistically, if you look
Does that help?
Who gets hurt most? Like the field players. Who gets the concussions? Who gets the sprained ankles? How many times has your goalie gotten injured other than walk it off, as a hit to the thigh? I mean,
It'll hurt.
It hurts. My kid's a goalie. It hurts. He gets hit, but he's never had a concussion, never broken anything, never had sprained anything from being a goalie. He plays midfield too. He's been injured out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the playing time is like these kids want to play, and if you find a goalie that maybe isn't as good as a midi or an attackman or a pole or a face-off guy, and they're really good in the goal, who knows what they can become,
If it's 5th grade or whatever, just throw shin guards on them. They feel like invincible with shin guards on.
how do you deal with at this level, the goalie, like we have one goalie, he's pretty good, but he wears the weight of the team on his shoulders every single game, comes off, and he's often in tears after the game because we've lost and let up 15 goals, but it's really not his fault.
Yeah.
The defense is porous.
Yeah.
How do you handle that with a kid at this age?
Where are you from? What?
Marlboro.
Marlboro, so you're probably a Patriots fan?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, look at the Patriots, right? Or any football team. The quarterback, the goalie is the quarterback. The defensemen are the offensive line, right? Your goalies are only going to be as good as the defense in front of them. Truly. If I'm a goalie and kind of get into that, more that mental aspect of it, and I'm mad at myself, or I put blame on the defense, they're not going to play as hard for you, right? And it's going a little bit beyond your question, but you have to understand as a goalie, you're going to get scored on. It's a team sport. It's partially on the goalie, but it's partially on the defense. If we can, after we get scored on, let's bring it in, and if it's clearly my bad, right? As a goalie, I can tell my defenders that. Even at the 7th, 8th grade level, and vice versa. Like, let's have that open, accountable communication on the field. But you as a coach, again, that's where you're so powerful, is it's not your fault, right? Get the next one. I was speaking to my college coach 2 days ago, and we were reminiscing a little bit. My first college start was against the Air Force Academy. I consider it to be one of my best games in my career. I let the first 4 shots in the game in the goal, and we lost the game by a goal. I pulled it together by saying, make the next save. It didn't happen. Make the next save. It didn't happen. It's going to happen, right? And I got my head on straight and had a pretty good game after that. So a lot of it is self-talk, being positive with your goalies, being optimistic, looking at the bright side rather than the negative of things, right? And we all say it, sport is like life, right? You can't just get down on yourself in sport or in life. You have to sometimes look at the bright side. And I think talking to your goalies that way can be really helpful for them.
A few things to add to that, with a compliment. It's the entire team as well, right? So if your goalie has just raked 18 balls out of the back of the net, maybe your defense should know to rake it out for him. I did that when I was getting my butt kicked. I just walked away from the net. Somebody else would get the ball. So the fewer times you have to turn and rake, it doesn't really chip away your goalie soul that much. And then as a team, what do you do at the end of the game? Pile on your goalie. What do you do after that? The goalie gets in the front of the line to shake hands. That line doesn't move until the goalie's up there. So you're kind of building that goalie's confidence throughout that game and putting the goalie on the pedestal a little bit. We do these things without maybe realizing it, because the boys, it's just fun to pile on the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's making the goalie feel really good as well. In other aspects of that are, as coaches, planning your practices. During your practices, protect your goalie. We forget about it a lot when they end up getting shelled at practice, but then when we remember, we get our cones out, we put a wide arc around that net or goal when we're doing maybe 1v1s, so the 1v1s are actually real shots that occur in a game and not, just getting hammered shot to shot.
Absolutely. Good, great points. Thank you.
Another thing to add on that, try and make mental notes of a couple times in the game that were significant saves or good positioning, etc., to focus back on when you are talking to them after the game. Because, I've dealt with goals and tears and being able to say, you did this right, giving them specifics on it really helps.
I played D my whole life on the hockey side, not the lacrosse side, but my whole thing is the coaching the past 17 years is always the play that happened 3 minutes before that play. So always pulling the forwards in, D, middies, whatever it may be, and letting them know where the breakdown was. The breakdown wasn't actually in your zone, the breakdown was down the other end or vice versa without pointing fingers. So just keep bringing that up throughout the game and throughout the coaching process, that there's always 3 or 4 breakdowns that actually lead to, raking the ball out of your net, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would add to that, though, I would add to what he's saying, is that what I do is, I make the goalies the coach of the defense, and therefore, the goalies are coaching the defense in their heads. They're not blaming themselves for the goal anymore. They're blaming the defender who didn't stop the ball. Hey, if you gotta do that, it's good, because as long as you got a kid that's invested that much and cares that much in it, he's gonna be coaching that defense and doing just what you said. He's gonna say, tell the goalie to identify when the play broke down, and immediately the kid's not thinking that he left the goal. He's thinking that the other kid did. And that's what you need, because the goalie's got to be caught. So,
Absolutely. Great point.
New goalies, tennis balls I use frequently. Obviously, it prevents them from having fear, but it also teaches them how to take a shot at high velocity and get some speed behind the tennis ball. But once I move to standard balls, and this is more on the younger side, or a new goalie, doesn't have to be younger, but a new goalie, I always, once we're using regular balls, will intentionally throw it right at their face. Kind of out of having fun, but they learn that it doesn't hurt. And every goalie will laugh when you throw the ball at their face for the first time. And that's like if you know the kid, you're having
so kind of crazy.
Who's getting some fun.
Right.
It's a machine, it's a hand shot.
It's gonna hurt a lot.
With ready position, and that's the same terminology I use, with ready position, once the intensity of just the warm-up or the game takes place, every goalie breaks down and that stick drops all the way to their hip or halfway down. And before I shoot the next ball on them, you can say ready position, you can say bigger, but then you can just not shoot the ball and wait for them to self-correct. And that's how you know they're kind of getting it, like they'll catch themselves broken down. And then you just pause and they'll reset, and then you continue your warm-up. And now they're kind of learning on their own as they go.
Absolutely.
But I didn't think I'd help you. It's more to just get some buy-in to get hit with the ball.
Absolutely. It's, and that's why I tongue in cheek, I don't joke that it's one of the greatest positions in sport. All of sport is physical, right? A lot of it's mental, but in this position, it's a lot. You get tired physically after 60 minutes of a game being like this. That's why I say to goalies, to your point, don't leave your ready position. Sure, ball's at the end of the field, you're gonna get up. As soon as that ball comes over the 50, we're here. We're here. Sometimes it's down the alley and they're moving around, and you'll see goalies just kind of like this. Stay in that ready position. And that's draining physically. Over the course of a game, communicating, seeing shots, you're starting to get tired mentally as well. And Lars knows this because he coached with me at the college and the pro level for so long, is we recognize those things. And you'll recognize it at the 7th and 8th grade level, right? Maybe you pump in 3 or 4, kid slams his stick. Oh, let's go. It's go time on this kid, right? He's ready to get lit up now because we've gotten to him. Talk to your goalies about not getting frustrated right after they get scored on. I love the point of having a defenseman get the ball out of the net, give it to the official, get right back in the cage, get ready for that next shot. Absolutely.
Something, fellas, I'm Lars, if you didn't already know that, that's who he's referring to. So I coached with Sean for 4 years at Endicott, and I think 3 or not 4 years with him on the Boston Cannons before the PLL, ENO merged. In the time that I've coached defense with him, something that I found that was very important, this is touching upon a number of different points and bringing them together that we were talking about, as far as making sure that the goalie doesn't feel the entire onus of the responsibility of making the save. Something that I found, because I looked at coaching defense from an offensive perspective, because I was an offensive player in college. What you do and how you set up your defense, and how you're setting up your defensive midfielders and your long stick defenders, and what they do and how they do it directly affects what kind of shots your goalie can save. Or what kind of shots your goalie is going to see. And if you set it up so that your goalie is like, there's no Sean said it, no one's pitching a shutout across. You very rarely ever see that. They're going to get scored on. But you do, even though you don't have the ball as a defensive unit, you have control over what kind of shots your goalie sees. So if you're not thinking about it, and like you look back, if you are able to like film your games and you see, oh, we gave up like 10 shots within 10 yards right in the crease, there's something you need to do about covering the crease. And so in my time with him, my entire focus was, my first 2 years with Sean, I had an All-American returning senior goalie, and I'm like, this is the only kid in the play, he's the only kid on our team who can literally like snap his fingers and take over a game. Eric, what kind of shots do you want to see? What kind of shots do you not want to see? Okay, we're going to focus on making sure that he doesn't see anything that he doesn't want to see. Nothing in the crease, nothing in the middle. Let's force everybody down the side. And so all of that, one of you mentioned about putting up cones and only giving up in shooting drills, only having the offensive player shoot more realistic shots. If you set up your defense so that your goalie is only seeing shots, he has lower angle shots and such, they are going to have a better time. And it also, you frame that in a way that the defense understands, hey, it's our job. Like, it's not the goalie's fault that he gave up goals. It's everybody's fault that he gave up goals. And focusing on the defense as much as the goalie himself to say, if he's giving up 1-0 goals with from 3-4 yards away, that's not the goalie's fault. I'll say that to any offensive player. That's supposed to be a goal. If I 1-0 the goalie within 5 yards and I don't score, I did something wrong. That should be a goal. That should be. I'm not going to talk to the goalie. I'm not going to say, hey, I would talk to the goalie and I'd say, that's not your fault. I would yell the defense. There's no excuse for getting up an undefended shot within 5 yards of the cage. What are we doing as a defense that we're allowing shots like that to happen? The other team is going to shoot. There's no way to stop that. But how you set them up from a defensive positional standpoint directly affects what kind of shots the goalie will face.
The only other thing I can say too is know your goal. If you know he's good off stick hit, tell him to give up a little bit more on that side because he's going to make that save. Whatever side he's really good at, have him give up a little bit more on that side, and he'll make more saves.
Question on that off stick, right? I see it in the way I grew up watching it. It's under, it's not over. But there's some kids that go and come back from club and then they're going over on those mid hits, and I'm like, he's like, my goalie coach told me to do it. I'm like, well, I'm not arguing with the professional, right? But how do you make that differentiation on under versus over?
Yeah, great question. So again, everything starts with the feet. So we're saving the ball with our hip, or by our hip, but it's really starting with our feet. Whereas if I don't step to that ball, I can come over like this, maybe make the save. I can have really quick hands, or I can come over like this. But I'm starting, ball's coming at me, I'm stepping, that's why I'm partially duck foot, right? I'm stepping, now my body is there, and I'm coming right here. Okay, to get your hands over like that, again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. Some are going to come over like that, and some are going to come under. I teach under 10 out of 10 times because it's a more natural way to step, and your hands are coming here, you're getting the body. A lot of goalies will do this just because they're reacting and they're guessing on shots. That's why they're doing it a lot of the time. So that under, and you're right there. And that's really from the hips all the way down, right? And then from shoulders up, that's when I'm like a windshield wiper right here.
So just because,
2 minutes.
With speed, or with reps comes speed.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's you have no time to think.
Sure.
So if you're at least repping it, rep it under. If there's the odd chance that you're just gonna freak out, you're gonna do it.
Totally.
Milliseconds. So, but with reps, so the reps should be
absolutely
under. Look, if you just happen to do it, fine. But with the reps should be under, and with the reps will come speed, and that's it. Okay.
Exactly. And again, tennis balls getting that step down, we call it step body balance, right? So I'm here, I'm stepping, I'm bringing my body, I'm balancing up just like I am in my starting position, my ready position. I'm stepping, bringing the body, balancing up, getting it out. Time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
Another quick question, unless someone else has one.
Go ahead.
So the chin guards, right? It's fairly awkward, right? Is there a chin guard this week? Got the little, umpire, like hockey ones. is there something better, like, do those, A, do they, you know, yes, you need them, obviously, it's part of it, but is there one that is just better from a goalie perspective? Hanging, invest the extra $10 and get the wraparound ones, like, how awkward is that from the goalies?
Yeah, the catcher ones, whatever they are, horrendous. Because a lot of times they'll just go up and kids are getting hit in the throat. And it goes back to your question about parents, right? The Cascade, most of the kids are wearing the Cascade helmet or the STX helmet. The Cascade ones that wrap around, they bolt into the helmets, right? You got 5 goalies, you gotta get this thing on. You can just use zip ties, right? Like cheap zip ties, zip tie it on through those holes in the side of the helmet, or string. You can just tie it up there. Now Billy played the first half, Johnny's going in the second half, cut those off, put a new one on, and use that same throat guard if you only have one. But those are those ones.
Because when you got the U9 kid and you're doing 2 or 3, you got
sure.
It's the easiest thing to get in and off. It's just awkward. So I mean, do they?
For the real little guys, you could probably get away with using the catcher ones. But once these kids start shooting a little bit faster, 6th, 7th, 8th grade,
they're getting better every year.
Absolutely. I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't put it on.
Real little kids, we had bought the little S clips that you get at Home Depot. They're just 2-sided. They're not shooting hard enough where they're gonna really be able to break it.
Sure.
I don't know if I would use that with the older kids, but the U9s, maybe even up to like the 3rd, 4th graders, clip them on, clip them off. It's almost at the right height. It doesn't come up as much. It's just something we felt that way.
One last question. Anyone? We're good? Gentlemen, I hopefully that this was helpful for you. Not sure how many of you are on social media, but at Peak Goalie is our Instagram. We put a lot of drills, things up there. YouTube, right? You can Google lacrosse goalie drills stuff. Peak Goalie TV, and this stuff's all free. We have a ton of stuff for coaches up there. A lot of coaches' education stuff on how to coach goalies, and for youth goalies up there as well, that you can give them that information. Again, I sat where you guys are sitting as a parent and as a coach, and I truly mean this when I say it. You gentlemen are the greatest influencers in our game. You truly are. I don't care that the PLL is on ESPN and kids are watching that and they want to be like that. They want to be like that because you're providing an experience for them that is incredibly positive and supportive. If it's negative and a not supportive atmosphere, they're not even going to put the TV on to watch that stuff. It all starts with you guys, truly. And as this game and sport continues to grow, there's players that are on some of your teams that will make $500,000 playing this game. I guarantee you that. That's where these pro players are getting close to. But it all starts with them having fun, a positive experience, helping them grow as people, right? And I thank you truly for what you do for the game and for your towns and these players, because they are the future. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And if you guys have questions as your season goes on, you can hit me up, seriously. I told you I'm more passionate about this position than anything. If you're struggling with something, I will get back to you within 12 to 24 hours. If you ask me a question, pick up the phone, want to call me, DM me on my Instagram account. I will get back to you guys and help in any way I can. All right? Thank you, Archie.
Fellas, we have about 5 minutes, and then Dan O'Connell will come in and talk about face-offs. So if you want to get up again, get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Oh, yeah, no, well, I was just wanting to go break, right?